One of the craziest critiques of the scriptures of the Bible that I hear is that it is not relevant because it was written so long ago. So we're going to take a look at a topic today that I find extremely relevant, and it's kind of interesting how this ancient Greek and Hebrew literature written anywhere from uh, 2,000 to 3,500 years ago is extremely relevant to our life today, especially with the coronavirus lockdown quarantine time that we're in right now. Everyone is longing for community, relationships, and God built us to live this life together, not isolated, yet here we are, definitely isolated from each other. Our family unit is intact, right? We're in our homes together, which is probably our saving grace, although it might be threatening to some children if they're too close to their parents for too long. Mom and dad might be going crazy, but hope that you're finding a way to make it through this time. We're going to look at friendship in the book of Proverbs and take a look at the different perspectives that biblical wisdom gives us on friendship. My hope and prayer is that as we go through these verses, you'll consider the friends you have, and even greater than that, that you'll consider what kind of friend you are, and maybe this will challenge you to behave in a new and different way in your relationships and friendships that you have, and hopefully we can all become better friends as a result of this. So we're going to jump into Proverbs chapter 13, verse 20. This says, "Walk with the wise and become wise, for companion of fools suffers harm." The whole idea that who you are around, the friends that you choose, the relationships that you choose to engage in definitely affect you. They are an influence on you. So the friends that we have are important. I would say they're a lot of times we think, well, I'll be friends with someone, but I'm not going to let them affect me. I think that's a false perception. People are going to have some sort of influence on you if they're close in proximity. So we should choose to be around wise people instead of foolish people. So that's kind of the basis of this, and we'll continue to jump in deeper than that. In fact, this next verse tells us what type of friend we maybe should have or is possible to have. Proverbs 18:24. One who has unreliable friends soon comes to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. So again, here in Proverbs, we're seeing the authors here even acknowledge there are different levels of friendship, different types of friends, and there are unreliable friends, there are good friends, but there's even a friend who sticks closer than a brother. And I think that's the type of friend that we want. I don't have any biological brothers, but I've had some really good friends who I call brother, that I consider brother, because of our relationship. And those are I think those are the type of friends that we should strive for and that we should want. And I'll give this disclaimer too. I don't think every relationship in our life has to be similar to a certain depth. We're going to have some shallow relationships, some acquaintances. That's okay. I think we should, though, have these relationships that are like a brother, like a sister. It's like thicker than blood. People that we can rely on, that we know are there for us and with us through the thick and thin, through the good times and bad. So that's what we're going to be looking at as we continue to dive through Proverbs. Here's a couple verses just on some general qualities to look for in a friend. Proverbs 11:13 says, "A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy person keeps a secret." Whew. Have you ever had anyone spill their guts? Like you've told them a secret and then they went and shared it with someone else. They broke that trust. That's you feel betrayed. That's what the feeling is, because that's what it is. They're betraying your your secrecy or your confidentiality. A better question that I might ask is, have you ever been given a secret and you've shared it with someone else? And if so, then I think we all have at some point in our lives, and we're guilty of not being a great friend. One of the ways that, like a litmus test that you can use on a person if they would make a really good friend or not, if they are telling you something that isn't supposed to be your information, that's a good indicator that if you give them a secret, they are probably going to share it with someone else. Not good. Sometimes we think that's here's where the wisdom comes in, because we get deceived and we think, oh, this person really likes me. They must be a good friend because they're telling me a secret about someone else. When in reality, that's just showing that they are not a trustworthy person. And same thing, that we should apply that to ourselves. If I think, man, I'm really, really good friends with this guy, and so to prove that, I'm going to share with him a secret that I've been keeping from everyone else. In reality, I'm actually proving myself to be untrustworthy. And so we shouldn't do that. Proverb gives it, he just says it right there. Sharing secrets, not a good friend. But if you can keep a secret, that's what we need to be looking for. The next verse is Proverbs chapter 22, verses 24 through 25. It reads, "Do not make friends with a hot-tempered person. Do not associate with one easily angered, or you may learn their ways and get yourself ensnared." Again, it's like twofold here. One, it shows that who we hang out with, our friends, influence directly. So if we're hanging out with someone who's hot-tempered, someone who just flies off the handle, can't keep their cool, one, that's not a good person to be around. But two, we're going to become like that. We may learn their ways, and that can be really dangerous. So this is kind of two-part. One, it's not good to be friends with someone who's hot-tempered. And then two, it acknowledges that that person is going to influence us, impact us, no matter what. So there's a couple qualities, and those you can read through Proverbs and find those one after the other. Really good insight on the type of person that we should choose to be close to or distance ourselves from. And when I say distance ourselves from, that's not being judgmental and exclusive, but it's the reality that we need to create boundaries, and we have to choose who we're going to let influence us in our inner circle or our core circle. And there's some people who need to remain in the outer circle, and that's okay. They're still involved, just not at a great level of depth. We all make decisions how we spend our time, who we're going to spend it with. Let's make those decisions with wisdom. So that's what Proverbs is doing for us here. Now, the next couple verses, and I really had to whittle these down just to a few. The next couple verses are explaining how when it comes to the friend circle, friends relationships that we choose, the truth hurts, but it also heals, and it's good. Let's check out Proverbs 15:31 to explain what I'm talking about. "Whoever heeds life-giving correction will be at home among the wise." So here I'm setting up a case that you're wise if you're able to receive correction. If someone can speak into your life, and instead of being defensive and getting, putting up walls and closing that off, but to actually receive it and apply it to your life, there's wisdom there. So some people don't want to hear any sort of constructive criticism, any sort of feedback. They just think their way is the best way, the right way. And they don't want to trust anyone else's perspective. But that's not wise. The ability to be able to receive feedback is huge. Now I am setting this up in context of a friend, because Proverbs chapter 24, verse 26 says, "An honest answer is like a kiss on the lips." This is kind of it's kind of a nuanced proverb here, because a kiss on the lips is good, right? That's what lovers do. Honest answers kind of sting. They're a little bitter. It's like, ouch, ooh, why'd you have to say it? I know it's true, but it still hurts. What the author is doing here is saying, hey, this honest answer that maybe it'll sting or maybe it's offensive, your initial reaction is to get defensive. It's actually a good thing. You should receive that like a kiss on the lips. There's wisdom there. Let's continue going. Proverbs 27 verse 5 says, better is open rebuke than hidden love. Again, this idea that open rebuke, so someone who's calling you out, someone who has the confidence and security in themselves and cares enough about you to call you out, that's better openly than hidden love. Someone says, well, I love them, but I'm not going to tell them. No, you'd rather have someone who will tell you the truth, even if it hurts, than someone who will withhold. Maybe they love you, but they never bring it out into the open. Leading that up to the very next verse, Proverbs 27 verse 6 says, wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses. Okay, so now this verse is kind of combining the whole idea of wounds from a friend can be trusted, and the whole idea of kisses. An enemy with that multiplies kisses. These are all clashing together in this verse. So if you have a friend who tells you the truth, even if it hurts, that friend can be trusted, versus an enemy who may not truly love you, but they give you kisses, right? They tell you what they think you want to hear. They won't offend you with their words. They'll sugarcoat everything, or maybe they don't even, there's nothing to sugarcoat. They just give you the sugar, like it's all sugar. It's not, the truth isn't even inside that, coated with sugar. Which do you prefer? Like, one stings a little bit, it hurts a little bit, but they love you and care for you. The other, man, they just tell you what you want to hear, and you think it's all good, but they're really not a true friend. In fact, they are an enemy. In fact, this is, I think this is foreshadowing how Jesus was betrayed. He was betrayed by Judas by a kiss. Betrayed by a kiss. That originates, well, here in Proverbs, but then is fulfilled when Jesus was betrayed. Oh, so you see how the people around us, our friends that we choose, need to be selected with wisdom. Just last night, I met with my accountability group. We had a Zoom conference, and I say accountability. We've been friends since middle school, and we still get together, and these are guys that ask me the tough questions, right? From this verse, wounds from a friend can be trusted. These are the guys I trust, and they, they're not intentionally wounding me, but they will call me out if I am doing something in my life that isn't healthy for myself or for my family. If it's not, spiritual according to God. We hold ourselves to these crazy Christian standards that are impossible to live up to, and we all know that, but we still hold each other to that level of accountability. And sometimes what they call me out on, it hurts, but I know that they're doing it out of love, and because of that, I trust them with my life. Some people just are not willing to let someone speak into their life and call them out in that type of fashion, and it's unfortunate, because that's how we grow, that's how we get better. I think of jiu-jitsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu is a sport, martial art that I participate in, and it requires this feedback of like, hey, what you're doing isn't working. No, that's not good. You suck at this. Here, try this technique instead. And it's this feedback. And a lot of people can't make it in that sport because that instant feedback from someone else can destroy you. It can hurt you if you don't have thick enough skin to take it. But, and this is the irony of it, people who give me feedback, who teach me to get better, are doing so at the risk of me being able to beat them with the knowledge that they just gave me. So it's actually, it takes a very secure person to help someone else grow. It takes a lot of self-confidence to be that type of friend, and that's how you know you can trust someone if they help you in that fashion. In fact, and we can apply this in all areas of life. I wrote a book once, and I have it is a Christian book. I have a friend who's not a Christian, but he read it and he said, "Oh, it was a good book. I don't agree with everything in it, but it was really well written. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it." And because he said that to me, I knew, okay, he's not telling me what I want to hear per se, but he's telling me the truth, which actually is what I want to hear. But, and at first it's kind of like, oh, you don't agree with everything, but it's like, oh, no, that's actually, I really appreciate that feedback. And it's opened up some great dialogue for us because I know I can shoot straight with him. I don't agree with everything he believes. He doesn't agree with everything I believe, but we're really good friends. In fact, I trust him a lot. And so this whole idea that wounds from a friend can be trusted, but an enemy multiplies kisses is great insight on how we should be friends with other people. We shouldn't sugarcoat things and BS people and give them what we think they want to hear. We should shoot straight, and with that, we should be aware, and we shouldn't just try to be that person who sugarcoats everything and tries butters you up and schmooze you just to manipulate you or try to be that shallow type of friend. There's there's some more where we can dive into this in Proverbs. Proverbs 17:17 says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity." Saying what's the purpose of having a friend? It's not just for the good times. In fact, it's for the bad times. It's for when we are in trouble, when we need help, when we need to be dependent on someone else. That's when we really need a true friend. So just don't think, oh, I need the friends for the mountaintop experiences to share the experience of watching the beautiful sunset when life is good. It's like, no, when the crap hits the fan, who's going to be there for me? That's the time when the true friend rises to the occasion, and that's what we should want in our life, and that's who we should be for other people in their life. Another verse, this is so good. Proverbs 27:17, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." A lot of people don't realize this phrase comes from the Old Testament, the Hebrew scriptures, but it does. Iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. This idea that we shouldn't just be like this neutral, like, oh, here's my friend, we're just going along on the same path. No, we should be sharpening each other, stepping up, not just moving forward, but going and getting better. And it takes a friend who's going to push you. It takes a friend who's strong enough to say, okay, here's where you're at. I respect that, but I'm going to push you up a little more, and then kind of push each other up. That's what a true friend does. And so I hope I can be that. And quite honestly, sometimes a friend can be a bit abrasive, but that's how you know they are a good friend, is when they are abrasive. You can typically trust that person if they're doing it out of love and not just spite and or hate. I want to end with a different book of the Old Testament. It's still in the Hebrew wisdom literature, but it's a book called Ecclesiastes. And you got to be careful when you read this book, because you need to read it in its entirety and its whole context. But this is also written and attributed to King Solomon, who wrote most of Proverbs. But he writes this, and I think this is a beautiful description of friendship that we can end with today. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 12. "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. Also, if two lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken." And just this idea that we're stronger when we come together, when you have someone by your side, it's simply better. Two's better than one. And if multiple people attack you, it's better to fight them with a friend than try to fight them by yourself. So may you be a wise friend, a godly friend to those around you. May you choose and be blessed by wise and godly friends that you surround yourself with. And may we get through this coronavirus together. Grace and peace to you all. I love you. Goodbye.